side, HappyCow. Hi, I'm Ken Spector with HappyCow, and I'm catching up with actress and author Mayim Bialik. And she's best known for her roles as Blossom Russo on the 90s television show Blossom, and currently as Amy Farrah Fowler on the popular CBS show The Big Bang Theory. Mayim has a new cookbook called Mayim's Vegan Table, 100 great tasting and healthy recipes from my family to yours, which is co-written by Dr. Jay Gordon. Hi again, Mayim. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. What inspired you to write this book, and what was your goal in writing the book?
The book is, obviously mainly recipes, but there are 3 chapters of text. But it really came out of my writing that I do for Queller.com, which is a website that I write for. And I often share recipes that I have veganized, and often Jewish recipes that I've veganized, since there's a large Jewish audience at Queller. And people just started asking for these recipes and asking me to share the things that I have veganized that my children actually eat. So that's really where this came from. The text chapters I wrote, Dr. Gordon is a pediatrician and pediatric nutritionist, so he weighed in on the nutritional stuff and some of the more instructive things about sort of raising vegan children. But we wanted to present sort of why people choose veganism, why people choose plant-based eating, and an emphasis on plant-based eating in their diets, even if they're not ready to go full vegan. And I literally presented the recipes that I most frequently make that vegans and non-vegans enjoy, and things that my children will actually eat. There are not recipes with ingredients you've never heard of or can't get, for the most part, easily. I know that there are a lot of celebrity cookbooks. I know it's a thing. I know that there are vegan celebrity cookbooks, and I own those as well. But we really wanted to have a very approachable, this is actually what people in my house eat kind of cookbook.
Okay, great. You had been a vegetarian for years, and then you went vegan more recently. You had mentioned before that it was the book Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer that inspired you to go completely vegan. What in that book touched you the most?
Well, at the time that I read Eating Animals, I was still eating trace eggs and trace dairy, and that was kind of all that was left to go. And, it was something that I felt like I will never be able to stop eating trace dairy and trace eggs. It would eliminate pastries from the local 7-Eleven in a rush. It would eliminate Reese's peanut butter cups, all those things that just have a little bit. And after reading his book, it became so profoundly clear to me that for me, for the kind of vegan that I want to be, it really has to be a global decision that doesn't really have exceptions that way. So, the way I've kind of described it, instead of trying to find out where the line was, I simply erased the line, and now I have no more guilt or ambiguity or questions.
Mm-hmm. Are there any foods that you miss that you haven't found in vegan form?
Yeah, I was raised kosher, and so I grew up already with a notion of, we eat different things and different people eat different things, and that's okay, too. So I think, part of it is sort of cognitively getting your head around it, and that's what I try and impart to my children. That being said, I happen to personally not like vegan ice cream. It's something that I've sort of just decided that I kind of go without. It just doesn't really do it for me. I never was a huge ice cream person, but I did for sure enjoy, a Baskin-Robbins once in a while. So that's something that I haven't replicated or found replicated exactly. And like I said, I'm kind of okay with it. It's totally worth it. But there's substitutes for just about everything else that I can imagine. I hadn't eaten bacon in a million years, and I absolutely love a vegan BLT.
So do I. What are some of your favorite brands for mock meats and cheeses and dairy products?
I think that Daya cheese has absolutely changed the face of my veganism, and I would have been vegan so much earlier if that cheese existed. Honestly, I cannot believe the things that Daya has done for my life. The shreds was one thing, but now we're into slices, and it's like a whole other, I'm serious, it's a whole other world.
Yeah, it really is. And there are loads of new vegan products that I've tested that will be coming out over the next few years that I'm really impressed with. What are some of your favorite health food stores or vegan restaurants in the world or in Los Angeles?
Gosh, I love Real Food Daily. I love Doomy's Home Cooking, which is kind of, it's home cooking, so it's not necessarily healthy, but it is fantastic. They make a vegan Big Mac that's indescribable. I'm trying to think, I really like Native Foods. I think that's probably my favorite kind of more casual vegan place. Yeah, I don't think I could live without Native Foods. I like Veggie Grill, but I really do prefer Native Foods. Follow Your Heart is also terrific. Those are kind of all the main hitters. I try and obviously find special vegan stuff everywhere.
And you can find them on HappyCow, which I know you do.
Exactly, I do. But yeah, I actually just went to, a non-vegan restaurant that had a vegan banh mi on the menu, which was killer. So it's nice that we're seeing more choices. But yeah, I mainly have used HappyCow when I go to random cities, which I do a lot. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I travel quite a bit to places where I don't know where I can find things, and that's literally how I navigate is by what city I'm going to, how can HappyCow find me a way to eat.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do the same thing. Your new book's broken down into several sections. You have breakfast, soups, salads, and sandwiches, snacks, sauces, and dips, veggies and sides, entrees, breads, and desserts. What are some of your favorite recipes in your book?
I have different favorites for different reasons. I like smoothies because it's a wonderful way to, get nutrition. And I really like to do a raw breakfast. That's sort of my preference. I really like the shepherd's pie that's in there. I like my jelly donuts. I like my salads, like a lot of the salads, the bruschetta. I have a pesto recipe in there, which is, I think really good. I love making a vegan Reuben. I really like I do a mac and cheese casserole. It's hard to pick. Like, these are literally the things that I make most often in my life. So.
Sure. I noticed that there were a lot of vegan Jewish recipes, Eastern European recipes in your book. Do you feel there's a veganism and Judaism tie-in?
Yeah, there can be. It's not a very Jewish-heavy recipe book per se. The fact that Jewish people eat latkes, typically at Hanukkah, we actually eat them year-round, and it's actually a really fun, it's fried, but it's a really fun food that can also, have a lot of color and flavor. And then there are some desserts that are Eastern European, and also not just Eastern European, but Jewish recipes in general. There's a huge emphasis in Judaism on aspects of humanity for animals. Obviously, the way that is handled historically has been different in Judaism, but the notion that you feed your animals before you feed yourself, the notion that the way that slaughter occurs should be to minimize pain, which actually is the basis of the laws of kashrut. Again, the fact that animals are being slaughtered at all is not something that works for me because I'm vegan, but I was raised with a large appreciation through the structure of Judaism for being kind to animals. It's actually a huge ethic in Judaism.
Right. I noticed that agave sweetener was used in many of the recipes in the book, and agave's of concern to many for its high fructose content. Are there any other alternatives that you would recommend to those who don't want to use agave for the recipes in your book?
Yeah, look, some people use maple syrup. There are recipes that simply do call for sugar. I really leave that up to the reader to discern for themselves what they want to do. My general rule, and I discuss this in the book, is I don't cook richly like this every day. The recipes in the book are things, for the most part, that I make as special items or for festive meals or when I'm having people over. On a daily basis, I don't eat sweets. On a daily basis, I don't eat mac and cheese casseroles.
Okay. Do you hang out with any vegan celebrities, and what are some of your experiences dealing with non-vegan cast members and other people in the industry?
I don't hang out with any celebrities. Not as a policy. I just don't have celebrity friends per se. I've spoken to Alicia Silverstone, and I think she's going to do a little promotion for my book on her website, which is really nice. A lot of people in the industry make the same kind of snarky comments that people not in the industry make about being vegan. So I don't know if there's anything specific. Obviously being on a set is a different kind of food negotiation and making sure that there's something I can eat on set where most people are not vegan,
Okay. You have 2 young boys, and you're raising them vegan. Do you have any tips for raising vegan children?
Yeah, obviously I discuss it in pretty nice detail in my book. I guess people have different perspectives on it. I didn't want to raise judgmental vegan children. I didn't want to teach them that we eat this way because it's better for everyone and we have some secret that the universe doesn't. I'm very clear in an age-appropriate way about why we make the choices we make, but I think it's important to raise children who still feel comfortable in a world of non-vegans and who are able to negotiate that in a reasonable way so that when they're not with you, they know how to act and how to react if someone offers them something that either is not vegan or they don't know. So I think that's part of sort of like the start of that dialogue. Being prepared as a parent is always helpful, but as a vegan parent, it's critical. It's critical for your children's health and also for their mental state in terms of them not being afraid of food and not feeling like they are freaks because you choose to be vegan. always having snacks, knowing where you're going and what's going to happen, and knowing that if you don't know what's going to happen, you need to be prepared anyway, I think is very important. Yeah, I think it's easy to demonize other people and say, oh, we're going to a party and they're going to be eating stuff that's poison for your soul, but that's not necessarily helpful for a 3-year-old, you know?
And do you have any tips to get friends and family to become vegan?
Lead by example, lead by positive example. I don't give advice unless I'm asked for it about food or eating. If people legitimately want to know why I make the choices that I make sure to tell them and to be educated and to use all of the great vegan resources to be able to answer to that. I don't offer that freely because I feel like it really turns people off. And I think a lot of people may have a certain aspect of guilt about eating animals and animal byproducts, but they don't know how to articulate that. And sometimes it has to come from that other person and not from me sort of forcing it. But I try and make sure that I portray my lifestyle as a vegan as difficult in a productive way. Yes, it's a challenge, but it's one that I'm grateful to take on. I take pride in what I eat. I'm not guilty after I eat because I'm eating animals. And again, I just try and lead by example.
Were there any vegan facts from Dr. Jay Gordon, who you co-wrote the book with, that surprised you while writing the book?
No, I mean, not just because he's been my kid's pediatrician, but yeah, we don't present anything that most vegans haven't heard before. There was a lot of stuff about processed foods that many kids are fed in our country that I didn't know about. A lot of the fast food stuff, I guess I didn't know about. But specifically, we have a thing on like the ingredients in Lunchables, which is something my children have never eaten. And it is astounding, you know, the amount of chemicals and things that go into making fake meat and fake cheese. And by fake, I mean, it's, you know, it's more synthetic than animal even.
But definitely without the cruelty. Are you working with any animal rights or any other organizations?
Obviously, I do stuff for PETA, for Humane Society. I'm on my way to a cruelty-free international shoot, Mercy for Animals, you know, kind of all the big hitters in the vegan and animal rights world sort of ask for me to lend my name or do stuff for them at various times. So, yeah, I don't have other specific work that I do, but PETA is actually hosting my book release party, which is really nice, so we're very grateful for that.
Oh, great. When is your book going to be available, and what's the best way to go about purchasing it?
Today, everywhere books are sold, and Amazon.com has already had it for quite some time. But yeah, it is out today in bookstores.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Mayim.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That was actress and author Mayim Bialik, and she's the co-author of a new book. It's called Mayim's Vegan Table, 100 Great Tasting and Healthy Recipes from My Family to Yours. Thank you for listening to the interview, and please like HappyCow on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. You can download our iPhone or Android app, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter on HappyCow.com. Take care. The Healthy Eating and Living Guide. Happy Cow.